Hey, and welcome back to another Revit video. In this video, we're actually going to look at Dynamo, a Dynamo script, which is pretty cool. So this script in particular is going to deal with updating sheet lists when it comes to, like a plot set, like you want to print certain sheets and this or that. We're going to deal with that, but with a Dynamo script, which is kind of cool. I think it'd be pretty useful to you. And not only that, we're going to look at it in where I built it, which is in Revit 2020, but then ultimately show you and go through it in Revit 2022, just to show you not only that it does it work in multiple versions, but that we can go through how to build it as well. So before we get into it, if at any point in this video you happen to learn something, which I hope you do, that's why you're here, maybe, then please demolish that like button. It really helps me out a lot. Okay, getting into it now. So this is an out of the box template. There's nothing special about this. Obviously you can see here, there's nothing special about the plan, the model, anything that I've done. I've just made a bunch of random crap, walls and doors, thrown some revisions. We'll get into all of that and why. First, I want to show you what this does. Before that, of course, let's look at the actual plots as I have set up, because there are some prerequisites here. In this case, you need to set up some, sheet list, that not a sheet set that you want to print. So I have these few here, construction documents, future issue, RFI, whatever. These don't matter. My point is you want to have these set up to where you can reference them in the script. And specifically that, if we look at just the sheets that I have these 4 sheets that we can work with, which is great. And you'll notice I have none of these have anything checked. So there's nothing on these sheet sets. There's nothing there yet. But the script is going to handle that. So not only that, but we need to use something else to get the data, as in the list of sheets that we want to apply to those plot sets, those sheet lists, whatever you want to name it. And so here we go. If we look at the schedules here, I've got what I have set up is revisions, which we'll get to, but then I have just a sheet list. And again, name does not matter, but let's look at that. When I look at this, I have my sheets, which this is all I care about right now, and I want to show you why. So at this point, we can actually run the script. So I build all these scripts to run nicely through the player, and I'll go through that. So let's click on Dynamo Player, and these are pointed at the folder of other scripts I have, which we will get to. Don't worry about that. So here we are, sheet list to print sheet set. So I'm going to run this, and the way I have built this, and again, I will show you, the way I've run it is that all of the scripts technically run with errors, and they run with errors so you are immediately prompted to this actual input screen within Dynamo, because everyone is probably just going to come over here and press play because, I want to use this script, so I press play, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I've literally built these scripts to where you just press play and then you are prompted to deal with the inputs. Most of the Dynamo scripts I'm going to build and have built in the past do involve inputs. It's not just press a button and something happens, because a lot of times people are confused. Even myself would be confused. I wouldn't know what happened. So I want some sort of inputs, and even if it's not truly inputs, it's basically getting me to this screen so I can get outputs, so I can visually see what happened. So for this script, it's the number of views that might be in that view set. In this case, nothing happened. I'll show you why, don't worry. But then we have the sheets that are now in that view set, and you can literally see. So obviously these numbers will line up. So let's look at this. So of course, what I built in is like literally a Boolean, a true false. Are you ready to continue? You can name it however you want, but I always like to name it ready to proceed. In this case, yeah, I am. And so this is what is now telling me, okay, we're going to run this. So I'll move this here, and we are then prompted with another dialog box. And this one is basically saying, hey, which of the view sets do you want to override? And we looked at those, and you can see that I've got some that just default out of the Revit template. But these are the few that I've made that you just saw. And so in this case, it's like, well, I probably want to update, that sheet list, or which of these schedules do I want to use to update? Well, I want to use the sheet list that we're looking at right here. So I'll select sheet list. And then what sheet list do we want to override? In this case, these are the 3 that I've made in actual print dialog. In this case, we're going to issue construction documents, and it's going to be all of these documents. Okay, then I will set my values, and then we can see the output over here. And just like that, we've got 4 right there. We can see 4 views in the view set, and then there are 4 views. In this case, these views are sheets. Here they are. So cool. The nice thing is we could actually run this again, and if we decide we want to override anything else, we can do the exact same thing but a different way. We'll use the sheet list again, and then if I want to update this future issue, okay, we're going to see basically the same thing, but to confirm this, I want to actually, of course, go into my sheet list here and see, once I see, look, future issue, those 4, and then construction documents, I've got my 4. Awesome. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to do is show you an example of using a different sheet list, which is revisions. And I've taken another step here, and which is I've introduced a filter based on some actual revisions that I have, and which means because this is for an R5 or a PR, something like that, it's for something that is beyond the full list, the full set, everything that I've issued in the past. And so I filtered down to just 3 sheets. And so we can do the exact same thing. So let's use this. So I can run this here. And again, we're just selecting the same thing, but in this case, I want to actually look at the reference, the revisions. I want to use these sheets to override the now, let's say, future issue, or actually RFI. And I can see this, and I can get now 3, and then there are my 3 sheets, and you can see they're the exact same sheets that are in this actual schedule, which is really nice. And just to confirm once more, we'll go to print, and then we can see that, yep, I've got those 3 sheets in my RFI plot set, which is great. And then I come back to future issue, there's the 4, and then same with construction documents. So really cool stuff. So this is nice. Now, we've gone through it all. You've seen it. Now, I will say, I will leave a link to download this script in the description below. And so, you can get that for free, not an issue. It's something I'd like to do for you. But now that we've looked at it in 2020, I want to go through this process again and not only show you that it works within Revit 2020, but also 22, and go through the script and show you the packages that you'll need. I will definitely leave those not only in the description, but also on the download link, because you'll need to have the certain packages that actually run this thing. So let's go over to Revit 2022. We're going to quickly rebuild some of the settings that we've done here in Revit 2020 to show you how you can get it up and running, because there's not a whole lot I actually need, but there's some settings that you might want to take into account before you implement this. Okay, so we are in Revit 2022 now, and you'll see I have no schedules, I have nothing like that, so we need to start with making some schedules. All of this doesn't matter, it's just more for showing you that we have a model. Come over here to view, schedules, and we want to make a sheet list, and it doesn't matter what this is called, but I do need to actually add some sheet names and numbers and things like that, minimal stuff. So sheet name number, we definitely want that. And so for the sake of this, I do want to include that current revision description. We won't necessarily use that yet, but we will eventually. All right, cool. So I'll click OK, and we'll get a sheet list. And there we go. I'll zoom in here. We can see, of course, I have no sheets made. But something else I want to do is just rename this so it's not just called sheet list. I can just capitalize it. It doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter. The name will not. And with that renamed, just to show you as an example, you're probably going to have more schedules when you ultimately have a template or things like that, because that you're not just going to start a project and immediately make a sheet list. So what I want to do here is just make a couple more schedules to show you how I organize my schedules in the project browser to make it so you can actually see what you have as far as sheet list versus not. So what I've just made is a level schedule, and now I'm going to make a wall schedule. I'm not going to do anything other than just we're going to get these types and names, because I don't care about these schedules at all. I just am doing this to show you, hey, look, we've got 3 schedules in my schedules over here, like on the project browser. So how would I organize these? Well, there's a better way to organize them here, just like for your visual pleasure. So I can right click anywhere in here, of course. And the nice thing about this is I can right click and I can create a specific, schedule like we would up here under schedules. Really nice. And so what I want to do is right click here, and I want to choose browser organization. So I'm not going to go over browser organization at all, but the one thing about schedules is we want to actually, sort these by type, because I have a bunch of schedules and I want to know what I have as far as a sheet list or what I don't. And so I can come over here to new, and let's just call this schedule type, because I'm going to sort it by schedule type. This name does not matter. And so suddenly I have filter, and I can filter things out, basically filter out schedules, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. I want to just sort it a different way. And so this looks like a mess, but the only thing that I really need to do is come to the top and group by schedule type. That's it. That's all I got to do. Press OK. And then we actually need to make sure we check the schedule type that we just made. Click OK, and we can see what happens here. So under schedules, I now have building component schedule, which we're going to find our wall and level schedule right there, and then my sheet list. And it happens to be called sheet list. So really helpful. It's really, really helpful. And so this did nothing for us as far as like the Dynamo script. It doesn't matter if you do that or not, but just for your sake, you can actually see what sheet list you have in your project. Okay, great. So I need to make some sheets. Not a big deal. I'm going to come in here, make some sheets, name this cover, and then make another sheet. Might as well drag that floor plan on. I'm going to make a couple more sheets, and I will be right back. All right, so I've got 4 sheets here: cover, floor plan, elevation, section. Great, basic stuff. And so there's one more thing we need to do before we actually implement the script is we have to actually make these sheet sets. And we haven't done that yet because in here I can see I've got nothing. And so I don't really want to select anything in the beginning. So let's start with here. Construction documents. And then let's go ahead and do a future issue. So we'll have 2 to work with here. That's fine. And ultimately you'll see why we're going to work with these 2. So cool, nothing here. I can just close, don't need to print anything. And so here we go. We're basically ready. So I'm actually going to open the script for you before I run the player. And we can look at all the components that we need as well as the packages, because that's really important to have. You'll definitely need those packages. And it's likely that I don't have some of the packages in this version of Revit that I need to have. And nonetheless, that's not a big deal. Just make sure you have the packages. So I'm going to open this. So first opening Dynamo in 2022, I can see I've got a lot of problems here. The nice thing though is that under extensions and then show workspace references will show me every package that this particular script uses, which is really nice because that's something we want to know. Like we're going to have to be able to get those extensions depending on what they are. And here we go. So here are all the packages that I ultimately need to get. And what I'd recommend that you do is first set the path that you'd like to set. In this case, you can go to Preferences, Package Manager, Installed Packages. You can see what we have here, but then also Node and Package Paths. This is going to tell you exactly where all of these that you ultimately see will come from. So I'm going to add a new location and then deal with all of those packages once I have done that. Okay, and with that I can see, yeah, I'm still missing these. But the cool thing is I can click on this and then literally install the specified version. Like, okay, this is what I need. And it's going to install. I'm going to do the same thing with all of these. And once this is done, which hopefully takes just a minute or 2, we will hopefully see that all of these will be grayed out. And here you could already start to see it going. But I will come back whenever that is done. Okay, and we finally have all of our packages up to date, ready to go, installed. One thing I will say, I had some trouble with Archilab. So just make sure that the version that you'd end up downloading is matching or is at least the same release as your actual Dynamo, which is the 2.12, at least that or before. So just keep in mind if you have troubles with ArchiCAD, that was it. So besides that, we have the whole graph looking good now, and I want to run through it pretty quickly to show you what's here and what you can expect. The nice thing is that you can download it, open it with Dynamo, make sure you have the packages, but after that, you can run it through the player, and you're good to go. So here we go. This is the ready to proceed that I put in, and this is basically the main user input that when this is false shuts everything down. Like the extra form doesn't work, like nothing really works. And so I've developed what I've had these go through is just something called a pass-through. So I get all the view sets and the categories for the schedules and all the view sets you have set up. And none of that works, or even no data goes through unless I have this set to true. So that's what you saw at the beginning. And then I end up getting all the existing sheet lists that I have. And besides that, I get the existing sheet sets. So the sheet lists are the schedules and the sheet sets are what we have in the print dialog. And then those both feed into that form, which we ultimately fill out to choose which sheet list we want to override that sheet, plot set, view sheet, sheet set, anything like that, well, whatever you want to call it. And then from there, I basically get a full new sheet set, and then I actually use that to override one of those that I have. And so it is really simple. Really not a lot going on. which is why I want to give it to you for free. Obviously, you can download it in the description below. So we're good with this. I'm going to save this, close it out, and we're kind of to the point now that I can actually go ahead and play it. So I open the player and we can work with it. Here we go. Here's the player. Also, the whole point of this is, remember, I'm in Revit 2022 now, and so we're basically showing you that it works there as well. So here we go. I have sheet list to print sheet set. This is it. All right, that's exactly what we wanted to see. We've got the error. Now that we're at the inputs, we can say, okay, yeah, I'm ready to proceed. I'm going to run this again, and we ought to get the pop-up that then allows us to choose which we want to overwrite with. So, let's take the sheet list and then overwrite that with construction documents. I will set the values, and there we go. So I've got basically I've got 4 sheets that are all in that sheet list, and then there are my 4 sheets. So now let's actually go ahead and go check and make sure this happened, of course. So in my construction documents, I can see, look, there we go. There are the 4. So basically, I'm ready to print, ready to go. Cool. And so let's take this to the next level and say, okay, I've issued these construction documents. That wasn't a big deal. But what I want to do now is maybe come to the floor plan, come to my view, go to revisions, and we want to include a first revision here. I don't care what it's called, but in this case, I do want to call it PR1. That's fine. Keep it numeric, whatever. Yes, good to go. And now let's actually duplicate our sheet list. And then from there, I want to actually rename this, of course. Please do that. I like to stress that. And we'll call this revision. So basically, this will be serving as my the place where I can get all my revisions. So if I go to my sheet list, I don't care to see this necessarily, this column. So I'll hide that one, but in my revisions, I really do care about that. And I'll show you why in just a second, because I'm going to come over to my floor plan, into this view. Actually, I don't like doing it on the view. I like doing that on the sheet itself. And then go to annotate, and then revision cloud, and I'll just cloud this area up at the top as if this changed, something like that. We'll add a tag. We don't actually need to add a tag for this to happen, but when I do come to my revision sheet list, I can see, oh, look, that floor plan, because I have this current revision description showing up, I can see, boom, there it is. And of course, because I'm not just going to issue this one sheet for an entire PR, I need to come in here, add a revision cloud, probably to the name, because the name will likely change. Obviously, I'm not going to go to the trouble of doing that here, but then I'll come to the sections, and maybe this section, maybe this door change, something like that. Anything will work. But now that I have my clouds on here, I can come back to my revision schedule, which is essentially what it is, and I can see, all right, look, I've got these 3 sheets that I'm going to issue for PR3. But I still see this, this 3rd sheet here that I don't want to see, or more importantly, I don't want to add to that plot set. So what would I do here? Well, it's a simple filter. So I come into filter. I have none because I'm seeing all the sheets in my whole entire project. But the simple thing is to use this current revision description, and that equals PR1. It is what it is. So I just want to see those. And I see these 3. Perfect. So now what I need to do, basically what I did before, is all I need to do is simply run the Dynamo script. So I can go to the player. Once I launch this again, of course, I'm going to get the same error out, whatever, take me to the inputs. I'm ready to go. But now, here's where things change. Of course, I need to pick what I want to pick. In this case, I actually addressed the revisions sheet list, and then I want to put that on the future issue because that's probably where it would go. And in this case, boom, there's my 3 views that are now in that plot set, and then my 3 views here. You can see which they are, which is great. And then you can confirm that number, of course, with the actual print set. Future issue, look, there we go, 1, 2, 3. We are good to go. We're good to print. That's it. It's as simple as that, guys. I don't really want to make it more complicated. You can, but there's no reason to. So that will do it for this video. If you happen to learn something, please demolish that like button. It really helps me out a lot. Also, do you like Dynamo videos? Do you like this script? Or whatever it is, please let me know in the comments. I'm always curious if this is something you'd be interested in. Also, again, you'll find this script, a link to it, to download for free in the description below, of course. Look out on the packages. Make sure you have all the packages. They can be annoying, but after that, you're good to go. And I hope you learned something. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for watching.